Madhya Pradesh is a fantastic story as far as agriculture is concerned. We all have seen that in last 10, 15 years, the strides the state has made. And that is the fulcrum of growth in the agriculture sector. And especially, if we look at the competitors or peers around, Madhya Pradesh has set an example. They have improved the area under cultivation for agriculture produce. They have improved the irrigation segment. And that the outcome is in front of us. We are seeing that grains, Madhya Pradesh is now competing with Punjab. Last year, they have beaten Punjab as far as wheat production is concerned. They are number one in various oil seeds and pulses. I congratulate Madhya Pradesh for this, but this also poses a bigger challenge that how, for an agriculture side, how they can improve the lives of farmers, how value-add produces can be added to the basket. And Madhya Pradesh had a real advantage that most of the cash crops, Madhya Pradesh used to be a hub, and now the time has come that Madhya Pradesh can take a leap and be a hub for value-add production, value-add crops and its production in the country. Mr. Kesari, before your session, Chief Minister was here. He was talking good about agriculture. Tell us that now crop diversification is on the top of the agenda. Now you will have to create a space for other crops than wheat and rice. So how are you planning to take this crop diversification to the next level?
Thank you, Anilesh. So just to brief, I think already the Chief Minister has made his point, and in which I think definitely agriculture has been his favorite issue for a very long time. Let me give you a very brief why we are here and what we are doing, why exactly we are working in this field right now. There was a decade of growth in Madhya Pradesh that primarily was led by increased agriculture productivity and production. And as you very rightly said that we are now contributing more to the FCI kitty even more than Punjab. Punjab and Haryana were known as the granaries of the country which were feeding the country. But now Madhya Pradesh has overtaken them also, especially in wheat. We had various developments, but there were various issues also. So primarily this diversification and the new model of agriculture that has come around is driven by a few things. First is that what happens after the productivity has increased? Where does the farmer go? How does he increase his income beyond that point? That's one driver. Sustainable agriculture is another point that we have. Madhya Pradesh, unfortunately, with increasing production and productivity and procurement by Government of India, we also landed up in a situation where the primary focus has been shifting on to wheat and paddy, as in other states, typically Punjab and Haryana. So we wanted to change our tracks in between. There's also another point that we have been trying to make is that we need to attract the youth into agriculture. Most of the farmers that we have who are actually working on the field are middle-aged people. The youth is not getting attracted. They don't find it attractive enough. They prefer perhaps to stay in the cities. So we want to take them back to the farmers. So this was the basic objective. The primary objective is driven by 2 or 3 things. First is that a lot of mechanization, bringing in a lot of use of technology, both for the farmers and also facilitating the farmer. Asking the farmer and giving him a concept of a comparative crop. We believe that the farmer, in pure economic terms, is a rational person and takes decisions according to whatever benefits him or gives him most utility, that is a decision that he's going to take. So the basic concept is driven by trying to convince the farmer. We, first of all, try to convince the farmer is that this is a crop which is better suitable for you. This will give you more returns. So it's a concept of giving him a competing crop to what he's doing right now in his field today. And the whole of the crop diversity thing is based on that. We're also increasing mechanization and bringing in use of technology that is going to bring back the youth. We're trying to make agriculture as good as any 9 to 5 job. That's the concept. I should feel pride. I ride on a machine. I go and do this. Must be much better than a sales job or any other job, or riding a motorcycle, selling things in a city. Farming should be more attractive and more convenient. So the more convenient that we make it, with various elements of technology, with various elements of mechanization, making life more easier for the farmer, that's what our objective is based on. I think this year the government has launched around 10 schemes, new initiatives ranging from millets to organics to crop diversification, and which I think and I believe is a new paradigm. The traditional approach of the agriculture departments was to give more seeds, bring in better seeds. We are doing that already. It's not that we have left that, we are still doing that. But other than that, these are the newer activities that we have taken up. And in initially, as we just had the Honorable Minister talking about drone technology, we are soon going to open 2 drone training schools from the state government, which would be a subsidized activity. And I believe we would be introducing 500 hiring centers which would be providing services of drones within this year in Madhya Pradesh. We are building use cases. And I believe that the government's role is actually trying to demonstrate things. How we try to demonstrate things is, I'll just take 2 models and then I think more detailed questions can come in later on. The 2 quick examples would be, let us say we take the case of drones. What we are trying to do is that we are building use cases. And what are the use cases that a farmer would like? What are the services that he would like through drones? What is the value that he would be willing to pay for that service? How does it compare well with the present service that he is using? Suppose we talk about pesticide spraying. The farmer is spraying pesticides in a manual way today. What is the efficiency that a drone would bring in? What is the cost saving that a drone brings in for the farmer? That is what we are trying to propagate. That is what we will demonstrate for a year or 2. And we believe that once we have demonstrated and set this principle in the farmer's mind, he would be most willing to accept it on his own. And the next concept is of a crop diversification, plus organics built into that. I think various models will come in. The people that you have here are already better working. They would have more working. But our job is to try to facilitate things for them, not do what they are trying to do. If there is a good enterprising farmer, how do we help him grow better? If there is an enterprising company which is wanting to procure something from Madhya Pradesh, how do we facilitate them and bring about the change in the ecosystem so that they procure more from a farmer while being fair to him? So that's another condition. Fair trade is, of course, an essential condition. So I think the crop diversification and the drone crop diversification, very briefly, is a scheme that if you divert a farmer away from paddy and wheat and you convince the farmer that, yes, this alternative crop is better for you, and I as a company am willing to support you in marketing, that is buy your produce and sell it at the price that I have offered to you. We support the company and the farmer both to try to establish this as a model in the market. So a company typically would take 3 years to get this model established. There's no subsidy that we plan to give on a long-term basis. We're just establishing a model. And all these models are good financially, economically viable models. It's just that the government comes in and tries to establish this as an operational model with the farmer. So that's primarily what we'll do.
Thank you, Mr. Kesari. I have a luxury of, moving from government to straight away to a farmer, which many of the chief ministers and even prime minister doesn't have. So may I bring in Rudra Pratap ji here? The biggest challenge right now the crops of Madhya Pradesh are facing is, getting real value for their crop. If you have to convince, a group of farmers, the best way is to create, one of them as, their ideal rather than convincing him about the government policy. You are one of the successful farmers. Tell us how, Madhya Pradesh farmers can get a better value and how Mr. Kesari can help you in achieving it.
Thanks. First of all, I'd like to thank India Today and everybody over here to give us an opportunity. To start with, there's a small, I'll take hardly a minute to compile this. In 97, we started working on potatoes. And at that point of time, nobody knew that there's something known as sugar-free potato. So we were farming ourselves and we used to go to the next door farmers also. And we started testing the sugar in the potato with the sugar strip. And we were laughed at, कि आलू को कोई diabetes हो गई कहीं. And over the period, so this is what I've been talking about, 96, 97. By the time 2007-8 came in, most of the farmers in Madhya Pradesh knew, I have this X variety which I'm growing, whether it was LR, whether it was Jyoti, whether it was Chipsona, it had low sugar, my dry matter is 22. The ecosystem comes out of a merit. And we need to understand what are the merits we are sitting on. So basically everybody knows genotype, everybody knows whether our first is the genotype, the second is the weather conditions, and the third is again the practices. And practices will improve if we have an advantage of these two things coming together. And this is one story which I narrate because by 2007, from 7 till 2014-15, Madhya Pradesh was the state where the potato rates were governed by Madhya Pradesh crops for processed grade. Unfortunately, we lost it to Gujarat. And I would say that that has to be a case study which everybody should go through it. And today, Gujarat runs it. 3G, when intervened, the government intervened as 3G as a company in Gujarat, they could get drip irrigation right way, at the right time. They could get the right seed companies coming over there and get the right kind of long-term storages over there. And today, across board, for potato industry, the first choice for any processor is to go over there and establish, which inherently on a weather side, on a water side, on all other sides, Madhya Pradesh has an advantage and we still can pull it back. Only thing is we need to create that ecosystem in the right way. This is one example which I say, but the biggest thing that I see today is durum, sir. And I feel that as a government, this is one of the biggest opportunities that has come to Madhya Pradesh. With Croatia and Russia going down, the next 5 years, the durum is in shortage. And we are the biggest poised, worldwide poised state to provide it, but we need small corrections to be done, sir. Today, our whole MSP procurement, we do not procure durum separately, we do not procure soft wheat separately, we do not procure milling wheat separately. Just these three additions, which is an exchequer today for an exchequer, which is a pocket in the hole, is procurement, your MSP procurement will be profitable for the state, sir. I don't know why this is not being brought in. Same way, we have nearly around 29 crops in Madhya Pradesh. When I compare all these 29 crops, one by one, we can take a case study of them. But the interesting part is we are lucky, we have heavy soils. We have day and night temperature variation, which is more than 16 to 18 degrees. So your translocation of all your food material and the dry matter is better in your produce. Now, we have not been able to sell it. A small example today, I would like to quote is, there was this Canadian group which came to India for selling chickpeas. And that was a group which was led by Monsanto governor and the farmers over there and the association. And they could actually, those 2 years when Canada were hammering that, they could take 10% of Indian whole market share of chickpeas. And that was done by a state government over there. So I'm very sure our CM is so proactive, you are there, sir, that these things can be done in Madhya Pradesh. So
actually,
linkage,
you know, the point, sorry, I'm cutting you short. Actually, we are also running out of time. The point which Rudraji is making, you know, if I give you a Delhi's perspective, that country went for, you know, this green revolution in 67, 68. But by 91, we realized that, you know, we need pop diversification. And thereon, we required, you know, higher value product and higher value crops. Madhya Pradesh is in that space right now, where they know that, you know, this higher value crops can give higher per capita income for the farmers. And now the global markets are much more benign because of the higher prices. I should not say thanks to the Ukraine war, but largely because of the Ukraine war. Now Madhya Pradesh has this you know, opportunity. Now you are also talking about the 550 billion economy. So how, you know, Madhya Pradesh is looking at, you know, helping these higher value crops, get into the export market. Before you answer, I want to bring in Pratik into the conversation. He does aggregation of the exotic and organic produce. The another focus of India right now, how we can bring in higher value to these type of crops. So Pratik, you tell us your experience that how government of Madhya Pradesh and maybe government of India can help you in accelerating and bringing more value to the farmers. If you can get your perspective, Mike is yours.
Yeah, so actually, if you talk about sustainability or safe food in general, we lack scalability there. So, the research, scientific research has supported more towards the chemical farming. So that the package of practices, which established package of practice, which requires, which is needed into safe food, that was lacking. So that is one area of concern for us. That is one prime focus for us. Second is working with the farmers, because again, we do not have these open mandis for safe food. So you will have to work with farmer, because that another angle to that is bringing that traceability. So unless you work with the farmer, traceability is another thing. So these are three major areas you need to work if you are talking about safe food. This requires a government machinery, because you need to work with scientists, because they have the facilities which can be, which need to be included into this. So government kind of support is required to make the footprints, to develop the models. And this crop diversification, the support for next 3 years, gives us that opportunity where we can establish this model and probably prove it that the organic can be grown at scale, that is scalable. So that kind of a thing requires a government support. So these 3 years are going to give us that opportunity. We are also bringing in another concept called the community guarantee kind of a thing, because certifications, they lack the what happens in the current certification system is we are limiting ourselves to the certification at the farm. But the produce does not get certified. There is no way for a consumer to probably take the produce to a lab and get it tested, because it is costly. The labs are not available. So you bring in the consumer towards close to the farmers. You make that community where farmer, aggregator, and a consumer, they work in tandem. Probably the consumers visit to a farm, so that traceability comes in, that doubt. So initially we thought that it is availability and affordability was a problem. But later when we discussed that at a larger forum, we realized that traceability is another thing, the faith consumer have. So even if you call it as a certified organic, they do not believe it, because again they read that it is not. I mean, there are a lot of loopholes into the complete process into it. So making it a community affair probably answers that portion also. So this requires an organized approach, right? And with a project like crop diversification, gives us the opportunity where we have access to a larger farmer base. We are working with FPOs. We have the scientists available to us. The government support is available to us. And this kind of marketing and branding opportunity which is coming to us with the collaboration with the government, that portion is also taken care of. So here I see a larger benefit to an initiative like us and the responsibility on our shoulder to establish this as a model to replicate probably.
Mr. Kesari, this certification thing actually is not a Madhya Pradesh specific problem, but we are encountering similar problems elsewhere as well. But if we have to move towards organic or natural farming, your certification system needs to improve and benign towards farmers and aggregator like Pratik. So tell us, how are you tackling this issue? Yeah. And plus, the other points which
Rudra so I'll just very briefly. How are we trying to unlock the potential of a high-value crop in Madhya Pradesh? See, you all learn by experiences. The recent example of exports of wheat, that actually became a reality for India, because Indian wheat was already overpriced as compared to the world wheat. We say that hum bahut mehenga khana khareed rahe hain, but the fact is that the MSP that we procure it is way higher than the world prices. So, and therefore there was no choice of export. What Madhya Pradesh tried to utilize this opportunity is establish Madhya Pradesh wheat as a brand. We were not into exporting, but establishing Madhya Pradesh's identity of wheat, as he very well mentioned. You'd be very surprised to know, in the last financial year, the total wheat exports from Madhya Pradesh that was recorded was only 2 lakh metric tons. This year, only before the ban came into force, for 1.5 months, our exports that were recorded was 12.5 lakh metric tons. How did we do it? It was a simple change in strategy. First of all, we insisted that all wheat being exported out of Madhya Pradesh origin be recorded as Madhya Pradesh origin, because the country that is importing should also realize that it is coming from Madhya Pradesh. We gave dossiers along with that, what is the benefit of Madhya Pradesh wheat? How is Sharbati wheat advantageous? How is the Madhya Pradesh Durum wheat advantageous? And we are the only state in the country which actually records this variety at the stage where the trader buys from the farmer. So as of today, we are recording previously what happens in the mandi. If the farmer is selling wheat, it is recorded as a transaction of wheat. Today we record 8 varieties of wheat in the same transaction, which variety of wheat it is. We also record the grade of the wheat. We have realized the potential when we are talking about mechanization. We are understanding the potential of selling an A-grade wheat at a higher price. We are now soon going to offer the farmer this once we have built the facility. So the wheat is recorded whether it is A, B, C grade, because a customer obviously wants to get a neat and clean wheat. He is willing to pay a higher price for that. We do that. We are also recording whether it is organic or non-organic crop. So all these traceabilities are now being created at the mandi level, at the first point of transaction. That is helping us establish a chain. We are working with the India Brand Equity Foundation to build a brand of Madhya Pradesh agriculture products abroad to all those people coming in. So all these things were missing previously. And the problem actually with all the people was, and we still realize that, I'll just close with the example of wheat here, is that most of the Madhya Pradesh wheat or India wheat that is exported is sold as milling quality wheat. We don't have a facility in the country where we are able to tell what is my protein content, what is my gluten content as a standard. So as, not even Madhya Pradesh, as a country we should realize that there are certain things we are not doing. Canadian companies have a whole list. This is my quality of wheat. Koreans want a wheat for pasta or for noodles making where they want a 14% protein content in wheat. Do we have a record keeping of that? No. So that's what Madhya Pradesh has been trying to build in the last 2-3 years. See, as far as the cost of organic certification goes, it's a difficult question to answer. When we talk about FSSAI norms, it has to be tested for 146 pesticide residues. Then only it can be certified as organic according to FSSAI norms. So ultimately, I think most of the people that are trying to sell, what we are also trying to promote, is a locally produced, locally consumed, and with a local, I would say, slight building of confidence. So most people are selling organic as pesticide-free, organically grown. So everybody has to build a trust, and they have developed their own models. What we are trying to do is that through our schemes, we are trying to open more labs, provide cheaper facilities, because the testing has to be done by various entities which are NABL certified. Perhaps a government lab would not be NABL certified easily because of our practices. But yes, we are trying to support many companies by providing them testing facilities who are exporters or who are into organic facility. A community testing or a pool testing as a model is being tried, certain extent supported by government, till the market is willing to pay a price of the testing also. Because ultimately the market will have to pay and include that as a price. But till the time people understand the value of that, perhaps the government's role is to facilitate that and lower the prices for them.
Sachin, here if I can bring you in, the major component of crop diversification is actually understanding the crop. And for understanding the best ways to understand the data and understand how crops are grown in certain part of the country, and ITC for longest of the years, they are into it. So now Chopal 4.0 is ready. So tell us that how, digitalization would help Madhya Pradesh and how you are planning specifically for the state, how farmers can take benefit out of it.
That's a very good question, Anilesh. So, ITC actually in agribusiness started its e-Chopal from Madhya Pradesh, and I would say that was the first model of using technology at a large scale in field of agriculture. And since then, we have worked on various crop value chains in the state, like wheat, soya, pulses, potato, etc. And the government policies were also quite favorable over the years to support such interventions. Like we were the first one to start buying outside the mandi premise, which has been allowed. And so over the years, the policies have been supporting. And with this concentrated effort of public and private sector, the state has seen increase in the production productivity and has seen excellent growth in the field of agriculture. But as we move from here, and I say it's Amrit Kal, Krishi Ka Amrit Kal, or the next generation agriculture, there are certain challenges which also come in, which needs to be addressed. So one is that the land holdings are becoming smaller in the state and in country also. Also, if you see, the productivities have improved, but still there is a huge upside which is there in terms of increasing the productivity of our crops in the state. And the change in the climate and sustainable agriculture is also another area. If you see, the rainfall patterns are shifting in the state. So earlier the monsoon onset was earlier, now it's a bit late. So therefore the agriculture also need to adopt towards this. So what we have seen is that going forward, digital agriculture and technologies have a lot of role to play. So there can be a few strategies, and I'm very happy that state is very proactively working towards that, and we are also contributing in our own way. So one is that how do you use digital technologies in unleashing the potential of agriculture? So today, if you look at the large-scale agriculture extension system, it is not customizable to the farmer. While in today's context, every farmer has a specific need. Soil types are different, acreages are different, their risk-taking ability is different, their knowledge base is different. But leveraging the digital tools and technologies, you can actually customize the extension to the farmer, which can actually help reducing the cost of cultivation and also increasing the productivity. There are many tools, drone has been talked about. There are many other technologies like, for example, today's state has digital soil health cards. So through that, a personalized nutrition advisory can go through apps or through other modes to the farmer, which can actually reduce the cost of, say fertilizer to the farmer, because right, doses can be given, and focus can be both on macro and micronutrients. Beyond this, there are tools to have instant check of the quality. So digital quality assaying can actually help in the village itself to see the quality, and then farmer can get a better price of that. Satellite imagery is another classic example wherein both biotic and abiotic stress can be seen at the farm level, and state has already digitized the farms, and that's among very few states in India. So that is also another technology. So there are many technologies which can actually help. The digitization is possible. And with this, you increase the productivity of the traditional crop and transfer the area to the crop diversification. That's where the state has come up with this new policy. Now, crop diversification is important because from a consumer point of view also, there's a lot of focus on, say, fruits and vegetable and nutrition-oriented, food. And if the productivity goes up, the nation need of food grains can be met, and the balance area can go for diversification. And diversification in horticulture and medicinal aromatic plant. For the state has a very good agroclimatic zone for medicinal aromatic plants. We have done large-scale pilots. We set up a 100-acre experimental farm near Sihor to test with the farmers that what all medicinal plants can grow. And in our large-scale, work with farmer, we have realized that farmer income can go up to 30 to 35% over the conventional crops if they are going for the crop diversification. So that is a very important area. And digitization of the entire value chain can make it happen to personalize these things for farmer, get newer technology, So that is how I think there can be way forward for, do
Pratik,
crop
you are
diversification.
also using data analytics, like Pratik was mentioning. Pratik's, I think, is more largely on the big data and blockchain technology. But you are also doing some data analysis to understand the demand of your consumers. So help us in understanding that, if some corporate or some entrepreneur needs to get in, like Rudra is here, he is also using some bit of technology. So how, a new age farmer or entrepreneur can use data understanding to map the demand and look at his future customers?
See, tech plays a role in production and on the consumer side both, right? So if I talk about the farmer, the biggest challenge today is farmers do not understand they're not putting a lot of energy into understand the crop demands, right? So normally they are dependent on the supplier of it. So they will go with the problem and he will prescribe to whatever solution is as per best suited to him. But if we engage technology into it, that can be standardized, right? So you have those package of practices. If that could be engaged for delivering of those package of practices, that standardize the thing and that reduces the cost also, right? And it helps the state, it helps the final consumer. So if a consumer of that requires a specific nutrients to be developed or a crop to be grown at at some, what I would say, on basic standards, right? So those can be delivered with the help of the technology. On consumer side, a continuous availability. I mean, if you go to any the grocery online store, you would not find a complete basket of organic vegetables today. Because for that, a continuous supply, you need to work with the farmers. And since they do not work with the farmer, it is not possible for them. You need a solution, tech-enabled solution, which can ensure a continuous supply of these vegetables. So you have your data in place, so you have a target, so you want to have, say, 5,000 deliveries on a particular day. So for those 5,000 orders, there is a demand, right? So 5,000 deliveries requires 5,000 kgs of tomatoes and, say, 500 kgs of chilies. So that need to be readied for that particular day. A technology enables you to do that job. You assign those crops, those farms to through this with the help of technology, and that can ensure. So tech has the scope and a requirement on both these sides.
Thank you, Pratik. Kesari Sahab, when we look at government, this technology, especially the blockchain one, I was hearing Honorable Chief Minister earlier. He was talking about e-vouchers been given to the students for buying bicycle, and farmers are getting these vouchers for buying farm equipments. Tell us how your department is using this blockchain technology to help farmer in farming rather than only buying the equipment in farming. Like
Yeah,
this
so-
was very a good example which Sachin gave, that how customized solutions are being given to the farmers. Are you also thinking on these lines?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's the future, the first point that I would like to say. What's happening is that we have different aspects of technology that we are working upon. As you very rightly mentioned, there are certain technologies like the e-rupee voucher. So Madhya Pradesh today has the first use case of delivering subsidies to farmer using an e-rupee voucher, which has a built-in verification mechanism and a confidence both to the farmer and a negotiating value. So if a farmer gets a voucher in advance for his subsidy, his power to negotiate with the supplier increases. Because it's like having cash in hand. But he can use the cash for a particular purpose that we are ensuring by modifying the e-rupee voucher system. What happens is that beyond that, what we also need is there are certain direct mechanisms which help farmers. One of the major things that the state has done is that our crop insurance is now 100% technology based in a unique way. There's nobody else in the country doing that. What we have done is that all our crop assessment is now based on satellite imagery. That brings in a lot of transparency for farmers. we are now trying out with different aspects of giving direct inputs. One of the first things that we have done is that there are two things. First is that every land parcel is available to people in a digital way. So what we are doing is that perhaps a technology firm that wants to work with the farmer, there's an issue of data privacy. So we're not throwing open the whole data to anybody. What we are throwing open is the structure and the availability of data and the accuracy of data that we have available with us. So today, if any tech firm wants to work in Madhya Pradesh, that structure, that data accuracy is available. We are providing a sandbox facility for them to be able to test their applications. We are willing to help those people in increasing their domain knowledge. Because what we realized is that many tech firms don't have that domain knowledge. Let's say, I don't know whether it's true, but there are the startups that we have. Most startups are actually chasing a few ideas. There are not many ideas that they have. So what we are trying to do is build a sandbox model for them to try out their ideas, help them with their domain knowledge improvement. We have a very open house kind of a system. You send in your request, we respond to that. And so we have a whole variety of people. He is working with predicting a market for facility. Somebody is working for providing a facility to farmer to identify his pink bollworm in cotton. Somebody is providing a linkage, an individual-based model where one of our department officers will also follow it up in the field. It's not that I simply provide a farmer with a message in his mobile phone or a video in his smartphone. We have a very successful model in animal husbandry, which we are now copying in agriculture, is that any grievance, a solution would be given initially. The AI and other methodologies, technology will help us identify a problem, but it will also be ensured that an individual from the department follows it up. There's an area officer who's responsible. He will contact the farmer and see that, yes, the solution that has been given to the farmer, and the farmer has any leftover questions, he will be able to answer those questions. So I think technology for the farmer is also very important, rather than use of technology in agriculture. And we have very rightly pointed out, so Government of Madhya Pradesh is working on both fronts. Technology which allows the farmer to gain not only from buying inputs, for selling his produce. We have a farm gate app. I'll just take 1 minute about technology, where the farmer actually in Madhya Pradesh today from his house is offering his produce for sale. He doesn't have to go to the mandi anymore in Madhya Pradesh. 21% of my transactions are happening outside the mandi now, not through direct purchase centers of ITC. Any farmer is free to do that. And 21% have actually shifted to that platform. He's offering his produce, the traders respond, and the transaction is done to the satisfaction of the farmer at his field. We have started declogging our mandis. In future, I don't see we have to build any more mandis. We only need to improve the infrastructure. In our mandis, we are working with firms which are providing remote and AI-based quality testing. All those firms are already tied up with us. They are experimenting. We are providing them an ecosystem to pilot so that our farmers understand the concept. And it brings in more acceptability. Our remote sensing technology for crop loss estimation has a political acceptability. All the cabinet ministers and the chief ministers are very happy with that. Normally, the politician is very unhappy with a technology solution that is provided. But here it's the other way around. So the technology that has to be adopted, once it is useful for the farmer, we see widespread adaptation, acceptability both by farmers, both by the ruling party and the opposition party. Everybody loves those solutions because it's convenient for everybody. So that is where technology in Madhya Pradesh is playing a major role in agriculture. I won't say that, yes, we have reached the end of it, but yes, we have a long way to go. But definitely the path in which we are heading is bringing in a lot of solutions, bringing in a lot of relief to the farmers and to the people who are either engaged in marketing or procuring or growing.
So by saying that you will not be having more mandis, that means that more and more private procurement you will be encouraging.
See,
And
mandis are always for private procurement. The only thing that we are allowing is that the farmer sells from his home. See, that's the convenience. I don't have to carry my goods to selling. See, any businessman knows once you have transported a set of things to a shop, there's a risk of it not being sold. So we have simply removed that risk for the farmer.
and what about tax and cesses?
We get all taxes and cesses because it's our platform.
Okay.
So there's no leakage. And in fact, we have brought in a lot of new transactions which were unreported onto our platform.
Okay.
We see, I'll tell you one figure, the increase we have decongested our mandis, while simultaneously our total arrivals have gone up. And not a small amount. They have gone up by 36 lakh metric tons. ITC procures, I don't know, 5 lakh metric tons from Madhya Pradesh of wheat. So if you look at a company-wise, their procurement is, let's say, a few lakh tons. So having 36 lakh metric tons on an app-based platform in a year, I would say is a huge volume in agriculture produce.
So maybe actually we have run out of time. Maybe last question, if I can ask Sachin. Sachin, what is your experience in, trading on this platform, where farmers can directly sell it to you without going to a mandi? So there is no detour now. He can come directly to you. Is it beneficial, or you want some more reforms in the system?
No, I think the best thing is the freedom of choice to farmer and the players. So this is, now there are multiple models. So farmer can come and sell in mandi, farmer can come and sell to a private platform, farmer can sell it from the doorstep on the app itself. So therefore, there are multiple avenues. It improves the price discovery to the farmer. It reduces the inefficiency of the system. So as I said in the beginning itself, that the government has been very proactive in opening to multiple reforms. And this has been one of the very good example wherein farmer has now complete freedom of choice to sell wherever farmer wants, in whatever channel farmer wants to sell.
But ideally, you would want this tax also to go. That will improve the efficiency.
No, I think we always look for a level playing field, and the cess, if it is part of the process, it is absolutely fine.
Okay, thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Mr. Chauhan. Thank you, Kesari ji. Thank you, Sharma ji. Thanks a lot for taking your time out. Now I'm handing over my mic to my colleague Amit. Mic is yours. Thanks a lot.